welcome to Kingdom Vlog. Today we will be focusing on David, and so we're going to begin to look into how he started his ministry when God called him out to be a king. So we're going to start on the first book of Samuel, chapter 16, and we're going to go on from there. So chapter 15, I'm going to give you a little bit of background that happened. There was King Samuel. He had anointed King Saul from instruction from God for him to become the next king after him. So then God instructs King Samuel to go and strip him from being king because Saul had disobeyed the orders of God. So then God instructs Samuel to go to the house of Jesse because God had already anointed one of his sons to become king. So then Samuel goes out to the house of Jesse. Jesse makes 8 of his sons walk in front of Samuel. The first one was named Eliab. As he walked in front of him, that was the first son that Samuel had seen. Samuel automatically said, "This must be the one that God anointed to be king." And then God tells Samuel, "Hey, hold on. You can't look at outer appearance. Man looks at outer appearance, but God looks at the heart." So then you begin to see how Jesse sends each son in front of Samuel. And Samuel begins to reject. Samuel begins to say, "No, this isn't the anointed. No." And so then Jesse sends out 7 more. So after that, Samuel tells Jesse, "Hey, do you have any more sons? Because none of these were anointed by God. Do you have anybody else?" So Jesse says, "You know what, I do. I have the youngest out there. He's tending the sheep. He's working." So Samuel tells Jesse, "I'm not going to sit down. This meeting is not going to move forward until you bring him in here." So then Jesse calls out for David. David comes in very humbly, and the Lord told Samuel, "This is the one that I have anointed. Anoint him, pour your oil over him." So then Samuel does so. David's anointed to be king. And the first point is, no matter what you look like, no matter what others look like, even if the world has called them out because they look better than you or because they look like they can do the part, that doesn't mean that they're anointed. God already made you the way you are, so He has already called you to be who you need to be. Don't sit around and say, "You know what, he looks like he can do a better job than me." No, God has anointed you already. You need to do that job because He already called you to do it. The second point is that no matter what the world has called you, no matter what they've told you, no matter how they've treated you, God has already anointed you. He's already called you. He's already given you the tools to do the ministry that He's called you to do. This is what they did to David. They thought that David was not worthy of stepping in front of Samuel so that Samuel can take a look at him. Jesse had 8 of his sons go in front of Samuel, but David was over here tending the sheep. He was over here serving. He was over here working. God was the one that anointed David and none of the 8 sons. So no matter what the world has titled you, no matter what you've done in your past, God has already anointed you. He's already called you. You're still alive because you have a purpose. So the second part of this chapter is in verse 14, is when the Spirit of the Lord departs from Saul, and then the Lord sends an evil spirit onto Saul. So then what happens is that when the evil spirit sent from God begins to torment Saul, his servants begin to see that. Saul's servants begin to see that. So his servants begin to say, "Hey, why don't you bring this man from the house of Jesse? He plays the lyre. The Lord is with him. He's good looking. I mean, he's wise. I'm sure he can help you." So then Saul sends out for him, and David begins to serve him. He begins to be his armor bearer. He finds favor in the eyes of Saul because of the anointing that's in David's life. So David becomes his armor bearer and begins to play the lyre every time that the evil spirit comes and torments Saul. And then that evil spirit leaves when David begins to play. So the first point is, don't look at outer appearance. Doesn't matter what you look like, God has already called you. Number 2 is, doesn't matter what the world has told you, doesn't matter what they've called you, God has already called you. And point number 3 is that when the anointing of God comes upon your life, you're going to begin to see the fruit. You're going to begin to see that you're going to see favor even in your enemies, even in people that don't like you, even in people that don't know you, yet they're going to feel the anointing of God in your life. So that's it for today, guys. I hope that this was a blessing to you. If it was a blessing, I encourage you to share it. Bless somebody else's life with this. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And so we can go ahead and unveil or keep unveiling the life of David. The next one is chapter 17, is when he faces Goliath, and he faces the problems of emotions, how he fights with doubt, how he fights with his own brothers once again, how he fights with Saul again, and how he ends up beating Goliath with the anointing that God placed over his life. So please stick around. Join me in a couple of days. God bless you guys.